This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and I am ready to take a look at your MLB overnight lines for the games on Wednesday, June the 22nd. Let's get to it and start with the Seattle Mariners taking on the Detroit Tigers in American League action. And despite a tough loss for Michael Fulmer in his last start for the Detroit Tigers when he faced the Kansas City Royals, he pitched well again in that last outing Friday night, but didn't get any run support and ended up on as a tough luck loser, I guess you could say, in that game. But the bottom line is Fulmer's numbers have still been spectacular. He pitched well enough to win there, and I'm going to come right back to try to bet on him here as he faces the Seattle Mariners. I mean, Fulmer has been just a tremendous story with this Detroit Tigers rotation, 8-2 in his 10 starts, and he's been even better than that here at Comerica Park, a .69 ERA in 2 home starts. He's allowed just a single run in 13 home innings this year. Detroit winning each of Fulmer's 2 previous home starts. I think he can definitely come in and pitch well again here. He's been proven to be very comfortable pitching here in his home ballpark. Hisashi Iwakuma will be on the mound for Seattle. He's been solid in his own right this year, but has had a little bit of a tough time in the past against the Tigers. He's allowed 12 runs in 18 innings pitched against them over his last 3 starts, and Iwakuma has allowed at least 3 runs in 9 of his last 10 outings. And the thing that really worries me for Hisashi Iwakuma here is his problem and propensity to give up the home run. Iwakuma has served up 4 home runs in his last 2 starts, which could spell trouble against the Tigers. Plenty of power in their lineup. We know about Miguel Cabrera. We know about Kinsler, Victor Martinez. Look at Justin Upton, the way he's been hitting, picking up the slack lately for J.D. Martinez being on the DL. So it's still a lot of power bats in this Detroit lineup that could give Iwakuma some trouble. The price is fairly reasonable, at least in my opinion, here to back the Tigers around -130 at home. Fulmer's been great, and I think that's a decent price to support the Tigers, so I'll lay the moderate price with Detroit at home, -130, to pick up the victory with Michael Fulmer, probably their most promising young arm in their organization right now, as he faces the Seattle Mariners here on Wednesday, June 22nd. Let's move on and talk about the Philadelphia Phillies and the Minnesota Twins interleague matchup. We talked about this game the day before, and we talked about the Minnesota Twins and their incredible over-the-total streak as well during that stretch, and it's a streak that I think is worth riding right now. Minnesota has been on an incredible over-the-total streak in their games, 13-0-1 to the over in their last 14 games overall. And I think it's a trend that could continue here because Philadelphia will be sending their struggling lefty Adam Morgan to the hill. He has not been very good this season. He has a 6.49 ERA overall, including a 5.4 ERA on the road this season. Those are numbers that are not very good. He was absolutely lit up in his last start against Arizona. 7 runs on 10 hits and 4.1 innings, and the over perfect 4-0 in Morgan's last 4 trips to the mound. So even the over with Morgan on the mound has been a pretty good trend as of late, and he might struggle here against an American League lineup here, American League Stadium, DH in play the whole bit. Might be another rough outing here for Adam Morgan. But on the other hand, you've got the very erratic Kyle Gibson for the Minnesota Twins. He pitched microscopically better, I guess you could say, against the New York Yankees last time out, but still, he's overall not been very good. 15 runs allowed in his last 15 innings of work over 3 starts. And the thing with these 2 starters, Morgan and Gibson, neither of them have a very good track record of pitching deep into games. So both of these bullpens, the Phillies and the Twins, should see plenty of work, plenty of innings in the latter stages. And both bullpens this year have ERAs of close to 5. So 2 of the more suspect, vulnerable bullpens in Major League Baseball. So we should get some runs late in this game. And again, we see Minnesota totaled in this same 8.5 range, game in, game out. And they seem to be exceeding these totals just about in every single game. So at 8.5, absolutely, we'll go in one more time on the Minnesota Twins to go over the total of 8.5 here in this game against the Philadelphia Phillies. How about the LA Angels taking on the Houston Astros, our next matchup to talk about here on the Wednesday slate? We were on Matt Shoemaker in his last start against the Oakland Athletics, and don't be fooled for a second. Yeah, we didn't cash a ticket, unfortunately, but we easily could have. He pitched well enough to win, but unfortunately didn't get enough run support, losing 3-2 to the Oakland Athletics. However, it doesn't take away from just how dominant Shoemaker has been ever since he made those mechanical adjustments. I talked about those in depth the last time we talked about Shoemaker here on these Overnight Lines videos, talking about how he's incorporated more off-speed stuff, more splitters, more off-speed pitches into his repertoire and thrown a lot less fastballs. And that's been the main crux of his adjustments that he's made. And ever since he's done that, boy, the results have been really eye-popping for Shoemaker. He's allowed just 10 runs in his last 44.1 innings over 6 starts. He has just an incredible 2 walks to 55 strikeouts during those last 6 starts. His swinging strike rate in the process since this tweak in his delivery, it's jumped from 9.1 to 14.3%. And because his overall seasonal numbers aren't that great, it's left him undervalued because right now, his current form, odds makers aren't, putting as much emphasis on that. They're looking at the season-long numbers, but right now he's an undervalued pitcher, pitching better than his overall season numbers would indicate, and still a bet on pitcher to me, and I think he can neutralize Houston. He has a pretty good track record, Shoemaker, against the Astros in the past. I think he can continue that here. Let's not take anything away, though, from his mound opponent, Lance McCullers. He's been very solid for Houston since returning from the DL. 14 runs allowed in his last six starts. He's pitched well against the Angels for the most part, but it is worth noting, Astros still haven't been winning with McCullers against the Angels. Houston just 1-3 in McCullers' last 4 starts against the Angels. So it makes you wonder that sometimes they've had trouble getting run support against this Angels team with McCullers on the mound. He's pitching well, but I think Shoemaker's pitching even better. And so for that reason, even though I think both pitchers are going to have a strong game here, I'm going to look to the LA Angels. You can get them north of plus 140 right now at the Greek, among other sports books. And I'm also going to play the game under the total of 8.5. I think Angels and under, good chance, at least a solid chance anyway, to go 2-0. Angels, again, Shoemaker's been great. A very good underdog price here to back him, and I also think it'll be a lower scoring game. 2 pitchers in good form right now, so we'll look to see if we can cash both the Angels at a nice plus price and the game to go under 8.5 runs between the Angels and Astros on Wednesday night. Other than that, what else have we got on the Wednesday slate? White Sox and Red Sox, Quintana against Eduardo Rodriguez. The same issues are in play there. With the White Sox, Quintana's pitched well enough to win a lot more games than he has, but lack of run support seems to always doom him on the mound, and it may be more of the same here. Eduardo Rodriguez remains a mystery, though. I mean, maybe if there's one guy that maybe the White Sox can hit a little bit, maybe it's Rodriguez, who's been very, very erratic since returning to the Red Sox rotation. But Boston, they've had trouble hitting the ball of late. Their offense has come back down to earth a little bit. So it's a little bit of a tricky game there overall, not one that I'm likely to get involved with. I'm also tempted by Colorado as a big dog against the Yankees. I still say CC Sabathia is going to hit a wall at some point at his age with all the injuries and time on the DL he's had over the years. Eventually, I think he's going to cool off and regress from this just tremendous run he's been on. Will it happen today? Who knows? But I think it will happen at some point for Sabathia. John Gray to me remains an undervalued commodity. Pitched well enough in his last start to give the Rockies a win against Miami, but again, lack of run support with Gray on the mound in that last start for him against Miami. I'd be tempted to look at Colorado. It won't be a big play, but I'll look at them in some form, plus 140, plus 148. As an underdog in that price range against the Yankees in an early start game on Wednesday. Maybe that game can stay under the total as well. 8.5 and 9, even for a day game at Yankee Stadium. That's a pretty high total considering how Gray's pitched, considering how Sabathia's pitched. So maybe look to Colorado, maybe lean to that game under the total as well on Wednesday between the Rockies and the Yankees. Other than that, that's about it. I'll wrap things up for my look at MLB overnight lines for the baseball card taking place on Wednesday, June the 22nd. I'm sports handicapper Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. As always, I remind you to check out sportsbookreview.com for the latest and quality sports betting information. And a reminder that my first weekly CFL video to talk about the upcoming Week 1 games in the Canadian Football League with the season kicking off Thursday, June 23rd. Those will be provided here at Sportsbook Review on Wednesday, and I will run down all 4 games from the opening week slate of the Canadian Football League for the 2016 season. Looking forward to talking some football. It's been long overdue to get football back into our betting life, that's for sure. So until next time, I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy the games, and good luck.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.